Welcome to the Broadband Catalyst Video Help Series. In this video, we will look at applying and modifying the labels in your GIS project. Here you can see I have a project open in QGIS. I have my map centered around Charlotte, North Carolina, and the layers that I have in my project are the OpenStreetMap standard. I have all of the counties of the United States, and then I have the median household income, which I have visualized in brackets. And so we are going to explore the different ways to label these things so that they can make sense in our maps. The easiest way to make a label show up, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom to this layer and turn it on. If you have watched the Creating Polygons video, or you will, then these shapes might be familiar. But I just want to know what I named these areas, these neighborhoods that I created. I'm going to right click on the layer. I'm going to go to the Show Labels feature. And I'm going to click on that. Now you can see that Memorial Highway, Western Lake Lure, and Eastern Lake Lure are all clearly labeled. Let's say I want to make these labels easier to read. You can do this by right-clicking on your layer and going to Properties. Okay, once you get into the Properties menu, you should have a Labels option on the left, and in that Labels option, we're going to choose Single Labels. And this value field is where you can choose what label you actually want to display. In the case of my polygons, I only have a field ID number and the name, so the name is the most logical choice for me. You will see under the text sample here that you have some more options. You have another menu along the left, and we're going to look at the text, buffer, and rendering options. So I'm going to start with text. This is where you can change the way that your text looks. I'm actually going to make this smaller so you can see the changes. There we go. So if, for example, I wanted to use a different font, then I can select that font and click Apply, and you can see that the font changed. You can also choose to underline, strike out, bold, italic, other kind of font options. Remember that the point of a label should be to be easily readable. So once you've chosen that, and here is the size, which really probably is the most useful in this menu. Okay, I made it bigger, changed it to 14 points. So there's your basic text formatting options. Now if you go to buffer, what buffer does is it actually draws a buffer around your text. So if I select this checkbox, I'm going to come down here and press apply and watch the text on the screen. Now the label to this polygon has a white buffer around it. And you can change the color if that is something that white doesn't work for you. But this definitely makes it easier to read on a map with lots of features. And you can also make that buffer larger. So you can use the up arrow, push apply, and you can see that my white buffer suddenly got thicker because I changed the size. Okay. One more thing that we're going to be looking at is the rendering distance. And what this does is it allows you to tell the label to only show up when you get so close. Okay, so I'm actually not going to mess with this right now. I'm going to come back to it. But if you see, if I scroll out no matter how far out I scroll, that label stays and it stays the same size. This is where rendering distance comes into play. And it goes based on your scale. So at the bottom of your window, across the bottom here, you should have a scale display with a down arrow. If you click on that down arrow next to scale, you will see it actually gives you several preset scales that you can go by. That zoomed me in a little close. Okay. So you've got, I'm trying to count zeros here. You've got 1 to 1,000,000, 1 to 500,000, 250,000. These are some preset scales for you. All right, if I go 1 to 500 and I zoom to this layer, oops, we are very, very close to the map. So I'm going to go take my scale to about 25,000 and see how that is. That's pretty good. What if I take it out to 50,000? That's okay. I probably either want my labels at 1 and 100,000 to be smaller or to not be visible at all. And I definitely don't want them visible any larger than that because they overwrite so much of the map. So I think I said 25 was good. Let's try 10. 10 is probably too close. So if I go to 1 and 25,000, I know I don't want my labels to show up any further than that. So I can go back into my properties, back into my rendering options in my labels menu, and I can check the scale dependent visibility. Okay, and this first one here, so the furthest zoomed out that you want to be to have these labels show up. And you can actually choose one of these scales that is available just like it is in your scale menu. So I'm going to choose 1 and 25,000 and I'm going to push apply and push OK. Okay, so you can see I'm scrolled out further than 1 and 25,000 because I'm at 1 and 49,000, almost 50,000. So if I scroll in, and I scroll in with my mouse wheel, suddenly I'm at 1 and 24,999 and my labels showed up. If I scroll out, they're gone. If I scroll in, they're back. So that is how you do distance-based rendering for your labels. I am going to go through a couple more of these with you. Like I said, I have the counties for all of the United States. And I definitely don't want those showing up at the national level like this because that is hard to see. We have no idea what's going on. So I'm going to scroll in. So now I'm going to go into my county properties. I'm going to go into my labels and my rendering distance. And I'm going to turn this on at scale dependent visibility. But there is another option I can choose. And that is this button here that says set to current canvas scale. And that will tell it that when you are at this scale currently selected, that's when your labels will show up. If you're further away, they won't show up. If you're closer, they will. So if I click that and I click apply, and I push OK. If I scroll out, there's nothing. If I scroll in, like magic, they appear. So now I can scroll out and I can see all the counties of the United States without their labels. But if I want to zoom in to the state of Wyoming, here is some county labels for me. If I want to zoom out, they disappear. So that's how distance-based rendering can really be helpful to you. I also wanted to show you um, another type of label. Sorry. So I'm going to zoom in. This one is based at, I'm actually just going to turn these labels off. The census tract level, so it's a little bit smaller than county level. But as I zoom in and I get closer, they should show up. There we go. Sorry. Um, Here I have my labels showing up, but they're not showing me the name of the census tract or the name of the county or the name of the state or the neighborhood. They're showing me the amount that is the median household income for that census tract um, in the shade of green that it is. Now we could look over here in the shades of green and find the range that these median household incomes fall into. But this is a way to get the exact number to just show up on the screen. You can see it's based on distance. So if I go into my properties menu and I go back to my labels, I'm just going to copy this so I don't lose it. There is some formatting here, but for simplicity's sake, you can use this pull down menu and you can choose any of the fields that are located in your data table. So if instead I wanted the name or name LSAD sometime as what. So these are my census tracts that are displayed. You can see that changed the label. Let's see what this one does. Okay. So you can really change what item it is that is labeled. Maybe here I want, instead of the income or the county name, I have chosen the estimated number of families in each census tract. And you can see that it's displayed on the map. But I'm going to go back to what it was before. Push apply. And push OK. So that is how we create labels. You can use the show labels feature. If you want to specify more about fields or how it looks, then you can open the properties menu and go to your labels and play with your text, buffer, and rendering options to get the labels to appear the way that you like. I hope you found this video helpful. If you still have questions, feel free to email us or check out the rest of our help playlists.